Hi everyone, I have something to show you, but I need to give you a quick update on what's been going on with me so you'll know how I came across what I want to show you. My friend's lease came due. I ended up moving out of his walk-in closet and am currently staying in the house of my ex and one of my daughters and her baby. And hopefully I'll be able to get out of there quickly, because it's not fun for them, it's not fun for me. But I had a really good gift I know came straight from God. A couple months ago there was a posting job ad, because I had applied for several jobs, wasn't getting hired, even applied at PepsiCo and got the thanks but no thanks letter. And they were one of the only companies that even sent me the thanks but no thanks letter. But there was an ad posted where I live for an independent pharmacy that was going to be opening, and they were looking for a pharmacist to start part-time. And then at the opening, there would be the opportunity to either go to full-time or that your job was done and you could go. And as it turned out, the owner of the pharmacy is not a pharmacist and has no clue what he's doing. He thought when I came here the day after I talked to him on the phone for the interview, and then I met him here at the pharmacy, this was just an open, empty, dirty, warehouse-looking building. It's in a strip mall of other medical offices, but there was literally nothing in here but 2 binders. I ended up, instead of just being the warm body for 20 hours, helping him get, well, not helping him get, I had to literally put every single thing into place at this pharmacy. Configure the software, do the IT, all the HR, all the, regulatory agency requirements, and OSHA, Board of Pharmacy, all the DEA requirements for inspection, all of the processes themselves, all the equipment. I mean, literally every single thing, including the cloud phone and getting the different networks hooked up. I mean, it was a really big deal. And he didn't realize when I interviewed how much he didn't know. So, as a matter of fact, he thought, I'm going to show you something. None of these binders were here. Those are all full of OSHA, bloodborne pathogen, methamphetamine, DEA things, OSHA, CDC requirements, HIPAA, privacy standard, all that, just everything. And he had these 2 binders right here, and he thought that these papers in here, each of these, he thought he had all the procedures, policies, and procedures in these 2 little binders. And I had to laugh at him because I said, you know, those papers, let me get it back here, those papers only outline the binder for each page that you need to create a policy and procedure for. And some of them you need to create several policies and procedures, especially for, controlled dispensing and just everything. So I still didn't think that he was getting what I was telling him. So I was a little bit worried, but I thought, okay, well, if I can just even work, a few weeks or whatever at pharmacist pay, like, what a massive godsend, because then I don't have to be around people, because, yeah, you know what that's like. Anyway, it was really just a blessing. I had to create all the policies and procedures, and what I did to help myself is I pulled out some of the old policies and procedures I had from the last pharmacy that I worked at, and I noticed something funny on them. So that led me to go check out, I thought surely all pharmacies can't have this. What I'm talking about is in 2017, I remember just after, all the employees have to sign different things annually, semi-annually, different things, and we had just done our yearly, acknowledgements signed off and everything. And then all of a sudden there was this really big batch of paperwork we had to get in place, replace all the other ones for the patients. And these were the patient privacy practices and the notices and the signed acknowledgments. And I remember when they came out, the new ones in 2017, because I couldn't figure out, we just did all these. Why is there this whole new thing on the privacy notices and on the acknowledgments? But, you know, signed mine, got it filed in my employee filing cabinet, had the technicians do all theirs, and this is now what the patients were getting. Well, when I went to pull out some of my folders to try to reprint so I didn't have to do completely everything from scratch, pulled out that HIPAA notice, and that's when it struck me, this looks really odd, and I didn't really read it thoroughly, like nobody does. When you go to a dentist, and you got to sign HIPAA. When you go to a, you know, eye doctor, when you go to a regular doctor, doesn't matter. Any healthcare practice at all, that first visit, you've got to sign off that you've read the privacy practice and what their procedures are, what they can do with your information, what they can't, da-da-da-da-da. So when I was looking at this form to customize for this pharmacy, I realized what the push now in 2017 was. What I saw was pretty darn frightening. And if you notice, anytime you sign at any medical practice, the first sentence on there is, please read this document carefully. And nobody does. I didn't. But since I was creating it for another pharmacy, I read through everything pretty thoroughly. This is just crazy. So I couldn't believe what I was reading, so I went on to another major pharmacy chain, Walgreens, and they had a full copy of their privacy practice notice online, and I'm going to show you what that says. So at any point, you know, all these people I see posting on any videos regarding, you know, what's rolling out, what's being done to people, and there'll be all these comments, well, they can't do that, you know, wait till they see us coming, you know, we never gave consent, you know, they can't do this, we're gonna win, blah, blah, blah. You guys have, everybody has signed off regarding what was coming after that 2017 push for them to make this standardized privacy practice notice. And I think you're gonna be a little bit surprised. So I'm going to show you that in a minute, but I just want to show you the rest of the pharmacy stuff that I've gotten in place, and I'm talking like every single piece of signage has to be a specific way. There's just so much really that you got to know, you got to do. Hang on just a minute. And practicing my stuff, getting my software down. Got our safe, I've got our C2 book already set up. But you really can't imagine how much work this is. And then, and here's the problem, you know, yes, this was really a godsend, but it's only temporary because I wasn't going to tell the owner of the business. I was thinking I would have plenty of time if he knew anything about pharmacy and what was required to get in place. Thought I'd have plenty of time before the vaccine issue even came up, and then, you know, could tell him at that time, go at that time. So I was really hoping I'd have about 6 months, because there was literally nothing in here. But what happened, we were getting ready for our DEA inspection, and the owner, you know, started asking me, he's like, let me show you this memorandum I got. Because apparently the DEA had been out here twice that he didn't tell me about when I was hired, and they were asking for some things. And now that he was really starting to see my skill set and what I'm capable of doing, he was really happy because he had been spending a ton of money on lawyers to get different information and requirements and processes. And you know, if you know a pharmacist, well, if you know like a decent pharmacist, you don't have to pay an attorney. So like I've been doing everything. So once he saw that, he was really happy, and then he came clean. He said, okay, can I show you this memorandum we got, because they're asking for a few things and I guess I'm not really clear. So I looked at it and I'm going over it, and I saw, number one, that the person, he had actually tried to open this pharmacy like a year and a half ago, almost 2 years ago. But then because of the pandemic, he said, you know, things just couldn't ever get going off the ground. And that the partner he had initially, who was a pharmacist and was on the state board website showing as the manager of record at this pharmacy, I guess too much time had gone by and he didn't want to do it and got involved in something else. That's what he had initially told me. So then I'm reading through this DEA memorandum, and the previous partner had some discipline on file with the DEA before. Red flag by itself. And then for you to be trying to open an independent pharmacy and having had prior discipline on file, double red flag. And then the biggest issue was the partner also was involved in opening or running a pharmacy, and I saw the address listed on here. The partner was on Sunset Drive, Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Wing, ding, 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 ding. That is the massive red flag. All those three things together. Sunrise and Fort Lauderdale, that was the pinpoint home of the problems with OxyContin Express 10 years ago. So obviously the DEA, you know, agents see this and they're really wanting to keep an eye on this pharmacy. And then when they came for the first visit, there was nobody here. It was empty, it was looking run down. They couldn't get a hold of the owner. And then some random stranger walks from across the street, asks the agents, can I help you? They're like, well, we're here looking for the owner. And the guy's like, oh, well, he's not here. He's out of the country right now. But if you need to get in, you know, I can let you in. He had a key, and he let the DEA agents in. So I'm reading all this stuff on the memorandum, and I told the owner, okay, let me tell you why this narrative is here and here and here. They're getting ready to deny you licensure, and if they deny you, you're not going to get a DEA license again. Let me tell you what the problems are. And he's like, oh, okay. So then we looked at all the deficiencies, and then we were getting ready to have another inspection, and I told the owner, okay, here's what you do not want to say, here's what you do want to say, but not that I'm just telling them what to do and not to do. You know, my issue obviously is by the books, no gray area, because there's just not. You're either going to do shady things or you're going to do things the right way. So all the stuff that I told them, make sure you do say, and the things you don't say, like number one, it's illegal for any person to enter a pharmacy if there's not a pharmacist present. So the fact that some stranger walked from across the street, had the key to this place, even though there was nothing in here yet, yeah, that just is really bad. So I told the owner, you know, you can't even say you're coming in here unless I or whoever is going to be here then is present, because that's illegal. So you got to have like a chain of custody for key command. You've got to have stuff for your alarm company logging who individual user code doing this and that, whatever. So anyway, the day of the inspection, he was really nervous. He came in, and that was only the third time I've seen him. This is the other problem, is he's never here and he's done nothing. And it's a really lot. I'm not even going to go into it. There's just so much to get a pharmacy going. So I told him that morning, don't worry about it. They'll see I'm on record. They'll see where my employment and experience history is, there's going to be no problem. So I'll represent you, represent the pharmacy, you just, be here, whatever. So they finally showed up. 3 DEA agents in suits come in, and they look around, and obviously it looks a little bit different than the first time or the second time that they were here. And I didn't even give them a chance to go looking for something information-wise, document-wise, process-wise, policy and procedure-wise, nothing. I walked them through every station, through every file cabinet, just showing them everything so that they truly knew I know what I'm doing and it's fine. So they were super happy. Each of them gave me their card when they left, and the owner was kind of standing there and just told them, yep, Dr. Braun's here now, and there's not going to be any problems. She's really shown me a lot, and I'm really sorry. Thank you for giving me another chance. Now that I know how much I didn't know, things are great. So they left, and he was so happy. I can't tell you how happy he was. I can't believe how great that went. And he really saw then my skill set, and that's when he really pushed the issue that I didn't want to address for a while. And that he's like, okay, so when we go open, are you going to want to go full time, or is that going to be a breaking point for you and you don't really want to do that? So I had to come clean and tell him, okay, here's the deal. Because he had already started pushing 3 or 4 times, asking about getting the vaccines in, getting the testing in. He sees the big dollars the government is giving away to make sure that your staff gets this into people. So I had to face him directly on this. And I said, okay, well, I'm just going to tell you, there's a lot going on with that you're not aware of, most people aren't aware of, but it's really, really bad, and what's coming is even worse than that. And I can have no part of that whatsoever. Not the implementation of it. If you get somebody else and you want me to implement the policies, procedures, the systems, none of it. Not with the vaccines, not with the tests, with nothing. I will have no part of it. So I said, I'm not going to hold. I told him all about it, openly. I said, now you're the business owner. I'm not going to hold it against you if you decide that's what you want to do, but I'm just letting you know I'm not going to have anything to do with it. And he told me at that point, well, honestly, now that I've really seen what you can do and how much I don't know, I'm kind of afraid to let you go because all of this needs to be managed and he needs to learn everything once it's going. So he said, I really don't want you to go. I said, well, then your only options are going to be, because your only options, period, are you can hire another full-time pharmacist and my job is done here and I'll, exit, or you could hire another part-time pharmacist that's willing to do it. But again, they're going to have to know how to implement everything because there's a lot of requirements and I can't have any part of it. So you can hire somebody part-time if they're willing to do that, and I would stay. So at that point, he was like, yeah, no, whatever it takes, I just want you to stay. And then it wasn't even maybe 2 weeks later, and I get this in the mail here, which is his CLIA waiver notice. So he intends on fully going along with everything, and that's going to be his focus. So I was just going to stay part-time, but then there was a number of other issues that came up that have still been ongoing. For example, even our software, our pharmacy software that he chose, that's already been, initially installed without any configuration, customization, nothing, like 1.5 years ago, maybe close to 2 years ago. And he didn't have it set up where our vendor, wholesaler who brings in drug product is gonna have EDI, electronic files, to update our inventory system. So I had ordered this, partial initial inventory that you see back there, and it took a month and a half to even get them to send the EDI file over, which just came a few days ago, and they sent it wrong. They sent it as a processed return of inventory. So now all of our inventory in the system looks like it's negative on hand of all the drug products, 500 something drugs that I just ordered. And if it took a month and a half to get the original file, I've been calling the help desk every day, and this is a big pharmacy software vendor. It's one of the biggest. And normally at any pharmacy, if you have to call the help desk, you either get immediate resolution by representatives and people on the other end, or if they've got to send a technician out. A month and a half is just ridiculous, unheard of. And then when I started really pushing, because the owner, really wants to get open, he's like, well, I just need to do the bare minimum right now just to get open. We can work on the other stuff later. Yeah, I get that, but the help desk must have our number tagged or something, because they're hanging up on me. And then in order to make it look like they've got a call logged in on their system for their, managers or whatever, they'll call right back and they'll sit there and pretend like they can't hear me, and I can hear them breathing, and then they hang up. So they think that they've called me back and there was no answer or something. And they know what our published part-time hours are at the moment, and they're calling, 10 calls after that time. And I've got probably 12 help tickets open, and they're not doing anything. So that's getting really frustrating, especially because I shouldn't have to be sitting with the help desk getting the software issues worked out. Even simple things. When I was at the POS station, like the register station, and I tried to run like the first end of day report, and even simple things like running, generating the end of day reports, error, have to call the help desk. Oh, well, that component, that module of that software piece of program is outdated. We need to uninstall it, reinstall it, just like problem after problem after problem. And I can't focus on what I need to with the software and the functions itself and do other things that I really should be doing if I have to do everything else. Like there's just no way I can do, administration, HR, regulatory, legal, IT, computing, just on top of everything pharmacy. I just can't. So I finally had to give him, I sent him an email last Thursday to give him a pharmacy update, and because, like I said, I've only seen him 3 times. He's like never here. And then I found out he's helping his younger brother open a pharmacy on the East Coast. And the only reason I found that out is he called one day and he was in a bind with his brother getting third-party contracts because, they're supposed to be open. They were supposed to, they want to see a copy of his last 2 inventory invoices so that they can see that they've ordered stock and all that. And they didn't even know how to use their wholesaler to get it done quickly and what to order, because his brother's not a pharmacist either. So he asked me, he gives me the log on for his brother's company and has me place an initial order and just gives me, like a ballpark $8,000, spend $8,000, order what you think you should, because it's got to be here by tomorrow. So, yeah, okay, so I don't think I'm going to be here long, because I definitely know he wants the vaccines. He's got the CLIA waiver notice. And then last Thursday when I sent him the email with the update telling him he's either going to have to step in and do something, maybe just take over dealing with the software vendor on the few outstanding tickets. But if you do that, you know, you're going to have to come in, because I'm going to have to show you some things in the software so that you know what the problem is. And after you talk to the help desk, so you will be able to go back into the software and check it and be able to tell that it's fixed. Or you're going to have to, you know, really start advertising and interviewing for the other part-time pharmacists, because, you know, I'm kind of at an impasse here because of the help desk not responding now for a week, 2 weeks. And this was after waiting a month and a half to get, you know, the major things fixed. And I can't do everything myself. So if you're happy with the way things are and you don't want to make any changes, you know, lift a finger and do something, and you want to continue with me working as I have been, however long that takes to deal with them and, you know, have them fix things, I'm happy to do that. I'm getting a paycheck. I'm great to do that. But he's not going to be happy to do that. He needs to open. All this money is coming out of his pocket. So either you're going to have to come in and I'm going to have to show you some things and you're going to have to do something, or you really need to start advertising and interviewing for the other pharmacists. And preferably, if you can find one that has a good, strong background experience with this type of pharmacy software, that would be a big help. So, as usual, didn't hear a word back from him whatsoever. I never do. And this isn't my pharmacy. You know, I was supposed to just sit here and be a warm body for 20 hours. That's required by the board, you know, to have a pharmacist here. And I ended up doing everything, which I don't mind doing everything, but then don't complain if you're not ever going to be able to open, because there's certain things I don't have control over. So anyway, then right after I sent the email, well, if you remember me telling you before, not the last video or the video before, I've not been feeling too well, and I know it's because this place, this more evil version place, is just really running me down with, you know, stress, dealing with, you know, the ignorant people here, and just everything that's happening. It's like really killing me. But over the last couple months, I'd also been I noticed I had a lot of stress on my back, and no big deal, but then it started feeling, you know, hurting worse, felt like one of the vertebrae was out of alignment. And I'd remembered 8 years ago when I strained my back really bad, I went to a chiropractor for the first time, and he had a special type of table, an inflection distraction table, that was really magic at getting my one vertebrae that was out to just go back in. Ding, so easy, so quick. Went there a couple times a week, you know, 8 years ago, and then once a week, no more problems. And then the last couple months, I've been straining, moving some stuff, and I'll tell you about that later. And I started going to the chiropractor again, thinking, okay, it'll just be this cycle again, then it'll be nothing. And he was able to put it in just as quickly, just as easily. My back was great. I walked out in no pain. But then it wouldn't last overnight. It would be like while I was sleeping or something, it would go back out. And the pain started getting worse and worse and worse. And it was, you know, pinching my sciatic nerve, going all the way through my butt cheek, which hurt like hell, all the way down to my toes. So by the time it got at its worst, I would say 40% of the day, my entire left leg is numb, you know, toes tingling or dead or hurting. It really got painful. And then I really started taking it serious at that point, started, you know, doing ice for 20 minutes, a couple times a day. I got my really expensive back brace, that's a really good one, and using that throughout the day and throughout the night. Started taking NSAIDs as well as I could tolerate them. I just started doing everything right because it wasn't getting better and it was getting a lot more painful. And then the last chiropractor visit that I went to, hoping to get some serious relief because it had been over a weekend and it had been out the whole time again, and it didn't go back in that time, and it just bombed really bad. Okay, my battery keeps going dead, so anyway, long story short, I ended up somehow getting a herniated disc, and bits of it have broken off and are on my sciatic nerve. He told me to get an MRI, and supposedly the only way to fix it is through a microdiscectomy, which is like a back surgery. So I've not really been the keenest on really caring too much about what's going on here or not. Can't get the help desk to do anything. Got to get my living stuff figured out, and you know, even at best, if that wasn't happening, he'd want the other stuff here that I don't want to do anyway. So anyway, I think I've only got a couple weeks left here at the most, but I just wanted to give you that update. Now let me show you what I'm going to show you that I thought was so weird. When I printed off some of the documents from where I used to work, and I'm going to cover up where that was, just look at the date of when that was effective. You can't even really see. Wow. Really? Anyway, it says August 7th, 2017. If you can see it. I don't know why that won't even come in. August 7th, 2017. So normal stuff on a notice of privacy practices. You know, first statement is to please review, please read this carefully. Uses and disclosures. What we can do and where we can give your information. With your permission. Other uses. Without your permission. Okay. One of these that wasn't on here, and this isn't just for hospitals that are doing clinical research, but now there's a statement on there that we can share your information for health research, like maybe if a drug that's currently on the market is an investigational drug, a test. So you've signed off on that. There's no way I remember. Organ and tissue donation, to share your information with organ procurement organizations. So maybe if they take you out in the camps, they'll be able to parcel yourself out. And what's weird is I printed out the Notice C private practices. This one's of CVS. And the writing is now all pretty uniform on there. You know, some of it people might think is a big deal, but that's kind of always been there, and there's a reason why. But some of the stuff just hasn't. I mean, look at this for same thing, research. Under research, we may use or disclose your protected health information for research purposes, can disclose your PHI as part of a research study when the research has been approved by an institutional review board and there's an established protocol to ensure the privacy of your information. This doesn't require your approval, so you can be a guinea pig and not even know it. Again, they have the right to share your protected health information to coroners, medical examiners, funeral directors. That wasn't on there. Again, I think when they have a lot of mass casualties with the events that are coming, same statements for the organ or tissue donation, can share your PHI to organ procurement organizations. And then here's an interesting section. This is on all of them now, and I know for a fact none of this was on there. Specialized government functions and military. We may share your protected health information to authorize federal officials for conduct of military, national security activities, or other specialized government functions. Then if you go look at the one that I printed out from Walgreens, and these are right online, you can go print these out themselves. Disclosures of your PHI that do not require your authorization. And again, we've got food and drug, public health, law enforcement, research. We may use your PHI to conduct research and may disclose your PHI to researchers as authorized by law, may disclose your PHI as part of a research study when the research has been approved by an institutional review board, privacy board that has reviewed the research proposal and established protocols to ensure your information. And again, this is under the section, don't have to have your permission. Then again, we got the new section on coroners, medical examiners, and funeral directors. This may be necessary, for example, to identify a deceased person or determine the cause of death. Can also disclose to funeral directors. I think this is for the camp time. Organ or tissue procurement organizations. We can disclose your PHI, organ procurement organizations, or other entities engaged in the procurement, banking, or transplantation of organs for the purposes of tissue donation and transplant. And then this is kind of a nice one, notification. Now, the whole reason you're signing these HIPAA privacy statements is so that there's no breach of security and family and friends or strangers don't get a hold of your protected health information, right? That's what the laws are for. Yet this under don't need your permission, notification. We may just use or disclose your PHI to notify or assist in notifying a family member, personal relative, or another person responsible for your care, like maybe the camp, regarding your location. Regarding your location. So they can just be talking to people now, your family, friends, whoever, to try to get your location and general condition. Disaster relief, yeah, because that's coming. May use and disclose your PHI to organizations for purposes of disaster and relief efforts. They claim all these diseases, including, they have this list on the CDC now of all the diseases that they can isolate and quarantine you in these camps for, including, seasonal influenza. Well, to avert serious health threat or safety, we may use and disclose your PHI when necessary to prevent a serious threat to your health and safety or the health safety of the public or another person. So if they're contact tracing you and deem you to be a threat, your information's not your own. They can do whatever they want. Military and veterans, you're not exempt. They can release PHI as required by military command authorities. Here's the kicker. This has never been in here. How ridiculous is this? National security, intelligence activities, and protective services for the president and others. We may release PHI about you to federal officials for intelligence, counterintelligence, because remember, we're all going to be terrorists of the state, protection of the president, and other national security activities authorized by law. Wow. And this section here, there's the victims of abuse or neglect. That sounds so benign. All these laws they've been coming out with for human trafficking. So if we reasonably believe you're a victim of abuse or neglect, the whole reason for this in here and the other laws that have been made law, and it's a big law. Let me show you something. Every single pharmacy, as of a date last year, had required to post this specific font size, this specific dimension. Every healthcare has to include this human trafficking poster. Why? Because it's going to be illegal for anybody to harbor or help anybody else. This is going to be illegal and people are going to turn you in. That's not good. None of this is good. None of this was on here. The other thing you might or might not have noticed, there's a whole bunch that has been going into effect regarding mental health laws. And you may have noticed at different visits, they're asking you now at every visit, how are you feeling? Are you feeling down? Are you feeling worthless? Are you feeling depressed? Feeling like you want to hurt yourself? Well, when they're asking you, how you're feeling, you're too stressed out. Yeah, we've had 2 years of bullshit. Everybody's stressed out. But the reason they're asking you these questions is because it's going to be held against you. And it's going to be, if they get this and they document this in your chart, that's going to be the reason they're going to use to yank you out of your homes and put you in these isolation camps that they've been building. So now I know a lot of people are legitimately depressed and are on medications. I'm just saying, even if you continue the medications, when they're asking you, they're not going to stop it. But when they ask you how you're doing, how you're feeling, don't worry that they're going to cut you off your meds. Just don't make it sound like you're down, you're having a hard time, too much anxiety. Any mental health diagnoses that are added to your chart are going to be used against you. So just be really aware of that. Anyway, I wanted to get into one of the other things that I've been working on in order, regarding a place to live and where to go and what to do. I won't do it here. I don't have time. I've talked long enough here. But hopefully I'll get to that next time. Hope everybody's doing okay as they can. If you're not into the scripture and checking things out, this is going to sound like, a worn, used out statement, catch-all that everybody says about getting into the scriptures. But honestly, if you get into them, you will be given a lot of guidance and answers just by being in the scriptures. It's like one of the heavenly laws that both sides have to abide by. Start spending time in the scriptures, because you will really get to see a lot of things. We'll be given a lot of answers. We'll be given a lot of guidance, and you'll have your eyes really opened. So I hope to catch up with you again soon. Thanks so much. I know this was long, sorry. Bye. And on the CVS document, remember I showed you the date over there, the August 7th? And I knew that was weird to have it come on the heels of just having done it, and then we had all new materials. Look at the effective date on the CVS one, 7/16/2017. It's all standard, it's all new.